What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. If you're watching, the man to my left is Cam Underwood. He's managing editor of State of the U. Go check out all the great work at stateoftheu.com. It's the best. It's free. It's open 24/7, 365. It's good stuff. You can also follow Cam on the intercyberwebs at Underwood Sports. I am Brian the Beast London, and I manage absolutely nothing. I really can't even manage. I definitely can't manage my hairline, but neither can Cam, so that's okay. And there's plenty of other things that I don't manage. That's neither here nor there. All I know is you can follow me on the web at Miami Radio Beast. Cam, USF 2-0. Miami 2-0.
Yep.
A clash of the Titans at Hard Rock Stadium, 4:30 Saturday. We are recording this Thursday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're a few days away from a game that is turning out to be a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be because USF looks pretty good. They beat the University of Florida. Now, we don't know what the University of Florida is going to end up being, although if you look at their schedule, the next few games are not easy for them. But USF certainly is a tough team, a team that's well coached by Alex Golesh. He's really one of the up-and-coming stars in coaching, if you will. And they are a team that is going to play hard, and they're going to come to Hard Rock, and they're going to give it their best against the University of Miami. The University of Miami has to give it their best in order to win this game, and they need to win this game if they want to keep their hopes alive. What say you about this upcoming clash between the Canes and the Bulls?
Man, I'm so excited. It's another game for our beloved Miami Hurricanes. I do not take any of these for granted. We have 8 home games this year. This is the 3rd of them. So, yeah, I expect people to be there, both from, the real South Florida, the Tri-County area over here. They're coming down from West Central Florida, probably down I-75 and across Alligator Alley as well. Because the University of South Florida is not in South Florida, whatever. But I'm excited for it. Yeah, whatever. I'm excited for it. I know that whoever the TV person is that got the CW as the regional sports provider for the ACC is doing backflips and cartwheels because this is a top 20 matchup on the CW. This is beyond the scope of their wildest possible dreams. You get the University of Miami, a legacy program, and a top 20 matchup on the CW, bro. Like, they have to be so over the moon for this. But USF is a tough team. They play hard. On offense, they play fast. On defense, they play physical. And they want success. They're hungry for it. They play hard for their coaches, head coaches, coordinators, everything. I'm excited also for the Miami Hurricanes. Look to finally be in a spot where contending for championships, whether that's, conference and national, is the state of the program. Good friend of mine and yours as well, John Michaels, returned to State of the U. This week. Radio personality from Atlanta, huge Miami fan. He left for some personal reasons, came back. His first piece, he said the same thing. Look, Miami are contenders. It's time that we believe it, and I'm excited for them to go and show and prove that on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I love our boy John Michaels. He's one of my faves in the ever-shrinking radio industry, and loves the Canes as much as anybody out there.
Repping
it up there in Atlanta. I think, definitely, without a doubt. So a couple things to note about USF. So on offense, we'll start there. They've got a quarterback, Byrum Brown. He's one of those guys that is kind of like a unicorn in today's college football because he's stayed his entire career at the same school. And nowadays to have that is odd, right? He's not some Johnny-come-lately transfer portal quarterback. This is a guy that's been groomed in that system and is reaching his potential. He is a passer and a runner. He does not make a lot of mistakes. Byrum Brown currently has the nation's longest streak of passes thrown without an interception at 240, dating back, I think, Cam, you said since 2023.
Correct, because he missed 7 games last year.
He did miss 7 games last year, but Still 240 passes without an interception
Mhm.
is really good. By the way, Carson Beck is not too far behind him at 185. But Byrum Brown can make things happen. And you and I, probably for decades plus, in our minds or together in the press box, have been talking about Miami's inability to stop a quarterback that can move and run and get out of the pocket. And it's been through different coordinators and different staffs, and there's really no reason why this has been a programmatic thing, but it has been, and it worries me, even though Corey Heatherman seems like he's got his bleep together, but one never knows.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing, is really addressing the QB run game. Another great article for you to check out on stateview.com. Jordan Lopez has taken over the matchups of the week for each game, and he does, one for our offense versus the opposing defense, flips that, and then also does a coaching matchup. And the coaching matchup is Golesh versus Heatherman to address the running quarterback issue. Johnny Michaels, he said it, obviously we're talking about it. It's the primary concern. And you see, I just did the numbers on the other show that I did, that I do weekly. Follow me if you want information for that one. Anyways, they ran like 63 plays at Florida. Byrum Brown had the ball on 53 of them.
So between running and passing,
right, between carries, which was like 16, almost 20, and then 17, and then 36 throws. So like he's not the star that stirs the drink. He is the drink. Like their team runs through number 17. So we do have to find a way to just get them off of the field and to contain Byrum Brown. And yeah, he doesn't turn the ball over, but like the other thing I saw it from Cover 3 podcast, Tom Fornelli gave this stat, and I looked it up and it was confirmed. The average length of their touchdowns this year is 31.4 yards. So they're having nuclear explosive plays.
Right.
Pretty exclusive. So it's been that or like 1 or 2, 3-yard gains. So it's been feast or famine for them. I simply don't see them hitting explosive after explosive after explosive to get on the scoreboard. They're inconsistent on a down-to-down basis of like doing the thing and executing and just like moving the chains. Something that like I know Miami's offense is really good at. Just like, cool, we're just going to, 5, 10, 8, 3, 9, 17, like just, the efficiency of the offense for Miami is at a different level. And so I don't foresee the efficiency improving against our defense, and I don't see the explosion for South Florida. It might take a minute, obviously, because you got to get the scores on the scoreboard to like change the circumstances of the game. But those are some things that I'm watching. And I've kind of hinted to where my mentality is for a pick in this game as I've talked about it.
Yeah. So, Cam, let me ask you this question though. Take me.
Yes.
If there was 1 or 2 guys or 3 guys, or because of Byrum Brown, because of the challenges he presents, who on defense do you need to see have a big game? And if they do have a big game, you'll know that Miami will be victors.
The defensive line, I simply don't think they can block us. To be perfectly honest about it,
no one else has been able to. So
yeah, I think the defensive line, insert linebacker here, also because you're going to need someone at insert second level player here, whether that's or third. So it could be a safety, could be Keontae Scott as a nickel, could be linebacker, but somebody middle of the field. Probably, even if they're a safety walking down that second level, but a second level defender also in some spy situations. I think that Heatherman is smart enough to like kind of give them rules for keeping eyes on Byrum Brown. But
for sure.
If I think of a couple of, so I don't have a specific name, but I'll give you the 2 units. Defensive line needs to continue to be our defensive line and whoop their offensive line. and then whatever, and I think it will probably be multiple players, so he won't be able to just identify, oh, you're the guy that is, marking me, and I can, adjust that. But whoever the multiple players are in the contain, spy, be an athlete against Byrum Brown position, yeah, I would say those are the two areas of the team on defense that will need to really step up. But I'm confident that they'll be able to do so.
So whenever I think of, yes, obviously the defensive line, right? But whenever I think of a quarterback that moves, I'm always worried about linebackers being able to, get there in time. And then, you mentioned Keontae Scott and safeties, and depending on how they're aligned and what have you. But you just need to not let that guy get that deep in the defensive secondary. You need to keep him at bay, keep him contained. So, I do think about guys like Motori and Wesley Bethune and whoever is out there at linebacker as having big games, but obviously it all starts up front. And the way those guys are playing, like no matter, and they've got a rotation going now. We're seeing great things. Obviously you think about Mesidor and Payne, but Moton's been having a good season, and Justin Scott's been having a good season, and a bunch of other guys. So I really think Miami's not only talent at defensive line, but depth at defensive line is what is going to make the difference, because they can throw other guys in there, to give their starters a rest. And those guys, those backups are going to be better than what USF is putting out there on their offensive front. So that's what gives me some hope there. The other thing is this: Byrum Brown is good, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but he's only had 1 passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. So as much as we have talked about him, they've scored a lot of points because there's a Grammatica kicking the football. So
yeah, and look, we scored a lot of points with the Borregales, or multiple Borregales,
right? Exactly.
And they've had multiple Grammaticas, whatever you want to call it, whatever the plural is there. Sorry to make you spit up your water. But I mean, it's look, they did score touchdowns on the ground in the opener against Boise and everything, and I'm not discounting them. So I do not take my comments as overlooking or whatever. I'm not. But I think that they're in a luck runs out situation where they got multiply lucky at Florida to be able to be in a position to win that game. They got the 2 points, that ended up being the winning 2 on a safety, on a snap of a punt that went over the punter's head. So they've gotten a measure lucky, and I truly believe that our players are bigger, faster, stronger, and better. And you should believe, if you believe that, then you believe that the team with the bigger, stronger, faster, better players is going to win. So I think it might be close for a half, but we saw that last year, ended up 50-15. So, I hear all the hype, and I do all things and give them all the credit, because yes, USF is the only team with 2 ranked wins through 2 weeks of the season. That is incontrovertible, and I will not demean any of that. I also just think that Miami's better and going to win the game.
I don't want to go to the other side of a break before we talk about their defense, because I think that's really important, because their defensive coordinator is Todd Orlando. Now, Todd Orlando is one of those Pittsburgh guys, tough-nosed, played at Wisconsin. He embodies tough football, right? And that's why his defenses are tough. He actually was Mario Cristobal's defensive coordinator, I think, for a year or 2 at FIU. So they know each other really well. And if you listen to the players and the coaches talk this week, they talked about Todd Orlando's USF defense basically bringing different coverages or blitzes or doing different things when you don't expect it, not normal down and distance reaction with the coverages and whatnot. And all they're trying to do is really throw off the quarterback's eyes, to give the quarterback something to think about when they didn't think they were going to have to think about. And that's why I do think that having a veteran like Carson Beck that has just seen so much is such a valuable commodity because I don't think he's going to be phased. I also think he's savvy enough to not get fooled by what Todd Orlando is going to throw at him. What say you?
Todd Orlando.
Todd.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we talk about with Carson Beck, man. Like, Notre Dame did all kinds of things to try to trick him.
Right.
And then on several of those completions, you saw him go, bang, and just, hey, you got it, dump down, little spot route, little whatever, but just like, oh, that looked open and you rotated that, but like, not his first rodeo. This is a guy who's done this for a long time, man. So yeah, having that steadying hand is helpful. And I mean, I know that it's only through 2 weeks of the season, but a lot of the things that we've said about Carson Beck been true. He's a steady performer. No, he hasn't had the 400-yard, 5-touchdown game yet. If we need to have that, I think that he can do that. But, when we brought him in, I said Georgia's offensive line was like levels, plural, worse than Miami's. You're seeing him benefit from those clean pockets. Their running game at Georgia last year was the worst they've had for the Bulldogs in 30 years. It was the second worst rushing attack in the SEC. Now you come over here and see this running attack with 3 starting level running backs in Lyle, Big Fletch, and Marty Brown. And then you got speed on speed with Wheatley Humphrey and Gerard Pringle behind, right? And then you got all these dudes who want to block, including the wide receivers who keep blocking so god darn well that instead of talking about them catching the ball, coaches are stopping themselves, plural, multiple, Mario and Dawson. Talk about, oh, hey, wait, I know that you want to talk about the one-handed catch. Did you see that block? Did you see that block? And like all these things playing in to all this additional skill talent. And then Carson Beck being like, bro, this is easy. Like, it's when you have to fight your way through something and then you get the easier to operate version, it's like a whole new world. I used to play clarinet in middle school. Long story short, I dropped my mouthpiece and I didn't tell anybody, and I played on it for 2 years. And I was having to work so hard to make sounds. And then I went to a master class, and the teacher was like, let me see that. And she's like, yo, you playing on this? I'm like, yeah. Gave me a new mouthpiece. Oh, my God. It was easy as could be. I feel like that's Carson Beck in this offense. He's just like, oh, my God. I've been playing on a metaphorical broken mouthpiece. Now I got one that works, with an offensive line that blocks their butts off, a running game that's incredible down to the 5th guy, wide receivers making plays all over the field, the 2 highest rated on Pro Football Focus wide receivers in the country right now, in the only team with 2 guys that are 80-plus grades, being C.J. Daniels and Malachi Tony. I got more talent than you can shake stick at anywhere. And now I have all that experience also to take forward against Notre Dame, Bethune Cookman, USF, or whoever else. Man, I think that we're in a good spot.
Real quick, just from a news and notes standpoint, 3 guys we are expecting back this week are JoJo Trader, Armando Blunt, and Jordan Lyle. It seems like they will all be back this week. The one guy that will not be back is Hayden Lowe. The young defensive lineman is out for the year. And everyone you talk to was saying that this guy was on the path to have a huge impact for the defense this season. So I'm not going to call it a huge loss because the defense seems to be doing okay without him, but it's a guy that you would like to have in the rotation if he was really playing that well. So there is that. But we're going to take a break. On the other side, Cam and I got into a debate in the press box last Saturday as mine was playing Bethune Cookman. Actually, I wouldn't let him debate me because I said save it for the show. And then I put the poll on the question that we were debating on my X account. It came back in a landslide. I'll tell you who won that poll, and we'll get the debate after this. It's the Real Ones Canes podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Real Ones Canes podcast. Cam Underwood, managing editor, State of the U. Follow him on X at Underwood Sports. Go check out the stateoftheu.com. It is open. It is free. It is redesigned. And there's all sorts of stuff going on as it relates to Miami and UCF. Plus, you got breakdowns of lines and picks and matchups and all sorts of stuff that you want. Go check it out at stateoftheu.com. Please support Cam and his work and his staff.
Yeah. And I'm going to take a second just to show you guys again. The feed is going. Got plenty of stuff there. Picks. Hey, picture from last year's USF game. Jordan Lopez, he loves writing about the wide receivers. We got that. Matchups of the week, also by Jordan T. Lopez. So, hey, there's great stuff. How to watch your film forecast. And I'm going to show you just a little bit of this one from Justin DeTavio, a must read every Thursday morning if you're not already doing it. If I go down, Shannon Dawson mentioned duo, the run
right.
scheme.
Yep.
A billion times. And being dynamic commenters and analyzers, I asked Justin, I said, hey, can you give a breakdown of duo on the website? And he said, you know what? I'm going to put it in the film preview or the film forecast, excuse me. So here it is. And all the stuff about duo is right there. I'm going to stop sharing the screen so you guys can't read it. Go to stateoftheu.com. There's all of that and more available for you and for the eagle-eyed among you on the sidebar, because I did write a piece. I know you're going to say, what? Markeith Williams was dismissed from Miami.
Correct.
He's a player who's no longer with the program. And honestly, he was a guy that got recruited over and developed over, which is the goal of the set. Like, the goal is to always bring in the best players you can while also developing the ones who are here. We did our best with him. He was a fourth-year junior and everything. But Bryce Fitzgerald is looking like that dude as a true freshman, a late enrollee, because Columbus is like St. Thomas Aquinas where you cannot enroll early. So he zoomed past Markeith Williams on the depth chart and everything, had that incredible diving interception last week. And for violations of team rules, it was the report that he is on his way out elsewhere. So
yeah, and with Markeith Williams, I can't even.
You're right. You're
Markeith Williams. It wasn't just a single incident situation. It's been a plethora of different situations that has him on the way out. But I did want to let you know I was at a meeting at a public establishment, because I like to have my meetings where there's like people around and noise and what have you, because I work from home, so it gets lonely. So instead of having a Zoom, I was like, hey, meet me over here. And there was another person doing work sitting 2 seats down from us, and looked over and saw me and said, hey, Beast, haven't seen you in a long time, blah, 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 miss you on the sidelines, all this stuff. And, saw that, I love the Real Ones Canes podcast. Yeah, okay. And then he's like, oh, man, I love Cam. Cam gives such hot takes, and I love the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I was like, I got to tell Cam that. He's going to love that. This guy was all about it, Cam. He loves your stuff.
No, that's always heartwarming, man. So I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody who's watching and listening and everything. I didn't start the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not the first person to come up with the idea, but I did take it over from the former managing editor more than a decade ago now. So yeah, that's like my big baby on the website. It's our most read piece and everything. It's probably the thing that most people know me for and everything. And honestly, it almost hurts me to hear that people think that I say hot takes. I truly believe the things that I say. I'm not, I'm not a hot take merchant. I'm not just saying stuff to say.
No. I don't see where I come from, like in the sports radio world, like, yeah, you can have a hot take, but that doesn't mean that you don't believe what you're saying. It's just a hot take. Like, it's opinionated and it cuts through the vanilla crap that's out there. So, you have your hot takes. That doesn't mean that you're throwing, I'm just throwing something out there to be like Mr. Divisive guy. That's not what that means. So yeah, you have your burning, scorching hot takes. It's all good, man.
Well, hey, I'm with it. And I prefer chocolate to vanilla anyway. So, hey, then, I'm good with it. But yeah, honestly and truly, man, thanks for everybody. And while we're thanking you all, just take that second to like and subscribe. We would appreciate that also. That also makes both Brian and I feel heard, seen, and validated. Anyway, back to the show. You wanted to talk about some stuff.
Yeah, so
that we can talk about right now.
So we were in the press box, and I think it was because JoJo Trader wasn't suited up, and we were like
among others, but yes,
among others, and we were just like talking about that brought me to, do you believe an athlete, a player, can be injury prone? Because I, for the most part, believe that if a guy gets hurt multiple times, it's not necessarily because they were hurt before, but it can be coincidence. Cam does not agree.
No.
I threw this up on my X account.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do you believe an athlete can be injury prone? Yes or no? Yes, came back 93%. So Cam won that one.
I will say, when you asked me that question, my response was immediate before the sound of your last word could echo in the press box.
Right.
Do you believe that it is? Yes. Like, it was immediate in that. And you were kind of flummoxed. You were taken aback by that. What? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to advocate for the 93% favored opinion. I'm going to let you, the underdog, lay out your logical foundation or belief first. So tell me why you believe that players are not, and I'm not saying it is a all the time thing,
right?
But why do you believe that players cannot be or have not been?
There's a couple of
injury prone.
Like, obviously, there's a couple of obvious scenarios where, yes, I believe that one injury can lead to another. Like, if you've got a calf injury, a calf injury can lead to an Achilles injury, right? Like, if you've got weakness in your calf, that can lead to an Achilles injury. So if you're playing on a hurt calf, getting a torn Achilles, like, can logically come from that. Or if you've had several concussions, then you are prone to getting more concussions. That's the way that goes, right? Mm-hmm. But I generally don't buy into that if you've got, a knee injury, that somehow that if you get injured 3 games later and it's an elbow or a shoulder, that your knee injury had anything to do with that. Now, maybe, I don't know what Cam's going to say, but maybe Cam's going to say, well, the way you're playing, because the way your body's trying to make up for the lack of strength in your knee, well, then you have to, play a certain way that makes you susceptible to another injury. I'm willing to hear that argument, but I just don't think one has anything to do with the other. I think there's some luck involved in it, or bad luck, I should say, that where players have gotten multiple injuries, and it's just like, yeah, that's bad juju, man. I don't really look at well, that guy last week, he sprained his wrist, and now this week he's got a hip flexor. Suddenly he's injury prone, but what does one have to do with the other? That's kind of my thing.
I think that is a very narrow view that is kind of self-fulfilling, because
listen, there's nothing about me that's narrow.
View, come on now. And your glasses, they're very minimalist.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that is a very narrow look. Like, I'm not saying that every injury begets another. Like, I'm not saying that because you rolled an ankle, then you sprained an elbow. Like, yeah, those are independent variables or in things, but the way that you play and the way that you move can impact those. Where now, if there's that, and so if there's the ankle and then the elbow and then the hip bursitis and then the lower back, and then even if they're not necessarily the same body parts or linked body parts, I think that through just the biomechanics, or just even the bad luck, if you want to call it, they crossed they walked on a ladder, or their path is crossed by a black cat, that a player can be injury prone, even if it's multiple different things. In terms of the Miami Hurricanes, I'll give you the example of a player that I saw in high school beat a former state champion team basically by himself, screaming at everybody on his team. He was the one player who went D1 from the entire school, came to the University of Miami, and he always got hurt. And now maybe it was for a play or two. It wasn't he missed super time. I know that there's people who, hearing this, know who I'm going to mention. Stacey Coley.
Oh, yeah.
Stacey Coley was always something, right? Okay, well, I made a diving catch. Oh, then it's my side. Okay, cool. Man, I had this reverse. Then I don't know, man. But he was always dealing with an injury. Something that after a big play, invariably Stacey Coley would be to the sideline for 2 or 3 plays. And it would happen, and it would be all kinds of different things, right? Also, I think that what your argument narrowed to exclude are the injuries of linked biomechanics. And I have read studies on this. I did look up one or a couple, like from the University of Toronto, there was a big one talking about how people move, their actual movement patterns, and how that impacts injuries. And then the things that you're talking about, like with the NBA, a strained calf leading to a popped Achilles. Jason Tatum, sorry for you. Drew Holiday, Kevin Durant,
Correct.
like we've seen all Tyrese Halliburton. We've seen these things where, okay, a weakness here in your body then means your body is going to compensate, whether intentional or not, and then that puts strain on another thing. So like that is a thing. Now, I don't know if it's going to continue with further injuries for those players, but like those linked things through individual movement and biomechanics and just all those things, it's been proven time and time again. And honestly, like at the beginning of my, fledgling academic athletic career, back like when I was in middle and high school, like I was the Stacey Coley of my basketball team. Like, but I was always diving on the floor. So it made sense that like I hurt my elbow or I hurt my hip because like I'm celebrating the game. I'm going for that loose ball. I'm doing all those things. All right, well, Underwood needs to go sit for a couple minutes. All right, and then he can go back in. Like I had a measure of that myself. And that was going to be my final point of, I get where you're coming from. I myself personally am the proof that somebody can be to a measure injury prone. So put all those things together. I do believe that players can be injury prone. And I think we're seeing this with JoJo Trader because it's been multiple things over now 2 years. Hopefully he's able to get in a spot where we can go past that. But I say all of that to say those are my reasons and support for why I believe that players can be and sometimes are injury prone. But also admitting and acknowledging there is a level of luck or lack of luck that plays into that as well, especially in the collision sports such as football.
I think it's important to say this, and everyone knows this, right? Like football is a violent game, and on almost every single play, you're going to, especially if you're involved in the action, you're going to suffer some nick or scrape or something every time, right? It's violence upon violence. The question is whether you're mentally strong enough to kind of play through the aches and pains. No, just listen to me for 1 second. Right. Like, I believe that some guys, that if they get a helmet to the side, that they can go back out there the next series and be fine. But other guys, maybe like, yeah, I gotta get looked at by the training staff or what have you. Just the nature of their body, the nature of how they react to hits, and also kind of like their mental toughness, to be honest with you. I know this, right? Like, I'm a wuss, okay?
Okay.
And there have been plenty of times when I will suffer some, around the house injury, and then, I pull myself out of the game and sit on the couch for hours because, I hit my knee on the wall. Meanwhile, my wife will do the same thing, and she'll just be like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to go mop now because I am woman, hear me roar. So I think people have different levels of tolerating pain.
I agree with that also, but I think that those are separate things. Like as a Detroit Lions fan, I will say that Matthew Stafford was injury prone, but he played through a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like you saw the game, the famous one from his rookie year where he goes in on the last untimed down. He's like, look, my shoulder is separated, my left shoulder, but I got this right arm that's a rocket and I can throw a touchdown pass to win us this game right now. Playing through that. Guys who, famously in the NFL don't practice all week, but I'm going to show up on Sunday. And that's a test of the fortitude of the mind, but not the integrity of the body, because like they can play through that, but they're playing through the physical malady. So like those are separate issues. Like I believe that they are injury prone or things have gotten to a degenerative or consistent, state of being, but their ability to play is a individual, unique situation. It does not remove the fact that they've been injured and are injured or continue to be. So, like, I hear you on that. I just think those are different items.
All right, Cam. Right now, depending on which sports book you're looking at, it's Miami by 16.5 or 17.5. I think it opened originally at 18.5. So somewhere between that situation. What say you about this game between Miami and USF?
I say Miami wins and covers. It is.
Ooh.
I'm on Vegas Insider. The only one. So sorry. DraftKings opened at 18.5. Everybody else opened at 16.5.
Well, no, that's not true. Well, I saw it on Hard Rock when it first opened at 18.5.
Oh, and okay, so Hard Rock was the other.
But like within 2 hours, the line moved.
Right. It was down to the 16.5 when all the books open, and now it's been back up to 17.5. I think that USF, excuse me. Alex Dono had a typo with UCF, and that's why it popped in my head. Anyways, USF, I don't think that they have the range. I think that this is a luck runs out situation. I think that they blew Boise's doors off. And I think that Boise being ranked, though they were, I think that was a lifetime achievement award for Ashton Genty, a player who no longer plays there. And that was not, I get why they ranked them to start the year. That was not a ranked team, in all truth, for this year. Florida, again, they played well. They played hard. They did enough, but there was a lot of luck there as well. I think that the luck runs out. I think that Miami just has the horses, especially in the trenches on both sides of the ball. And if, again, for me, I'm taking the same viewpoint of consistency that I had before the season. I said we were going to beat Notre Dame. I said that we're going to be one of the top teams in the country. I said that we were going to win 11 regular season games, and nothing has dissuaded me from that. So I believe this team to be substantially, demonstrably better than USF. With that, win and cover, something on the order of 42-17.
Ooh, I see it as similar, but I see it like a 31-13 game. Whereas USF gets a touchdown, but then, USF also gets a few field goals. Miami gets, 4 touchdowns and a field goal. That's how I see it, which would put it at 18, which would be a cover, but really close to that number. But
depending on when you got it,
Yeah, that's why Vegas knows what they're doing, because they'll get it right on it. All right, so that'll do it for us this week. By the way, the total is 57.5. That seems high to me, but what do I know? I am not a Vegas insider, so there you go. In any event, okay.
No, I was just thinking about maybe taking down my score prediction then to like 38-17, which would be
don't change now. Don't change it now.
Hey, 42-17.
There you go.
I'll say that's my hot take. We're going to score more points and everything and whatever.
Cam has Miami covering and taking the over. So there you go.
Points.
Yes, exactly. All right. So, Cam, I will see you in the press box on Saturday. Everybody else, we'll see you out there at Hard Rock. Make sure you stay tuned Sunday for the recap show. We appreciate everyone for watching and listening. Make sure you subscribe, you share, you tell your mom, your auntie, your friends, your cousins, and even people that aren't your friends or related. Just go out in the middle of the street and tell them, hey, Real Ones Canes podcast, you can listen and watch YouTube and podcasting. So it's all about it. Cam, thank you very much. We will see you next time right here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. Peace.